It's good to be with you. You just heard Captain Kelly, and he specifically brought up the background checks and the fact that since 1999, 1.7 million people have failed background checks and been denied guns. Now, I know you point out criminals aren't going to go through the background check. There are other ways. There's always going to be a black market to get guns. But if 1.7 million people have already been denied guns by a partial background check, doesn't that make people safer?
You know, Chris, I have all the respect in the world for Captain Kelly, and what happened to his family should never happen to any family. We all want to stop it. But let me talk about the proposal that President Obama and people like Mayor Bloomberg are putting forward. One, let me answer your question. I don't think you can say that those 1.7 million people have been stopped from getting a gun at all, because the government didn't prosecute virtually any of them. They let them walk in, they were denied, they let them walk out. And who really thinks if they wanted to commit a crime, they didn't go on and get a gun?
Well, I don't know. It seems to me if 1.7 million people were denied, I understand the hardened criminal, but the disturbed person, the Adam Lanza in Newtown, the James Holmes in Aurora, Colorado, those aren't hardened criminals. And if they're stopped from getting a gun by a universal background check, won't that make a difference?
You know, the instant check was actually the NRA's proposal. We offered as an amendment to the Brady bill to put it on dealers, and I've been in this fight for 20 years. We supported it. We put it on the books. But I have finally become convinced, after fighting to get the mental records computerized for 20 years and watching the mental health lobby, the HIPAA laws, and the AMA oppose it, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, the fact is, the check now, these people are not...
But it worked enough that 1.7 million people were denied. I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, as Captain Kelly pointed out, Jared Loughner was able to pass the test. So there are holes in it, but that doesn't mean it's, you know, because it's not perfect doesn't mean that it doesn't work.
The hole in it is the fact that we've been fighting for 20 years to get the records computerized, and I know what goes on behind the scenes in this town. They won't do it. The mental health lobby won't do it. The HIPAA laws won't do it. It's not going to, I wish it would happen. We're all for it, but it's not.
Now you're for a universal background check.
Well, universal, but now that's what President Obama is now putting forward. And let me talk about that. It's a fraud to call it universal. It's never going to be universal. The criminals aren't going to comply with it. They could care less. You're not going to computerize, you've already seen you're not going to computerize the mental health records. So here's what's going to happen. We ought to quit calling it right now a universal check. The real title ought to be the check on law-abiding people all over this country. And then let's talk about how it's going to work. They're going to take a failed system. If you're in Broken Bow, Nebraska, or if you're in Anselmo, Nebraska out there, and you're a hunter or you're a rancher, if I want to sell you a shotgun or something like that, federal governments, we're going to have to go find a dealer or walk into a police station. Who's going to do the check? There's going to be fees. There's going to be paperwork. There's going to be law-abiding people caught up in a bureaucratic nightmare, and there's going to be abuse in terms of prosecutions. And it's all going to affect only the law-abiding people. The criminals could care less.
I want to move on to another subject.